Welcome back to yet another episode of Overcoming Graduation. I'd like to thank you all for listening in and for downloading, subscribing. It's been really an amazing trip so far, the people I've gotten to know, and just the visions of what's to come. So just wanted to start out by thanking you guys. Today we'll be talking about something serious, something that is very difficult to talk about at times for me, and I know it's important though, and I know this is part of my message and part of what is now a gift for me. Although it's hard to say, although it's hard to acknowledge it as that, losing my mom to cancer is something that I have to continue to challenge myself to find the blessing in this loss. And one of the biggest blessings or biggest benefits that has come through this is my ability to connect with people has grown tremendously. Now, would I do anything to change it? Would I do anything to have it not be like this? Absolutely. Do you need to go through something like this to be able to effectively connect with people? No, absolutely not. But when you're faced with this circumstance where something like this happens, you're gonna have times where it tears you down. You're gonna have times where you wonder why, or you're angry or sad. But just know that if you take the time and you're willing to look for whatever the lesson is, you will find it. And I'm finding lessons all the time related to this. And one of the biggest lessons I wanted to share was relating to strength and what my mom, through her battle with cancer, taught me about strength. So I'm going to share a story that I've been wanting to share with you guys for months, and just honestly, I haven't been able to. I've thought about it many days when I had nothing to do and just couldn't bring myself to do it. So this is the first step in me opening up, telling more about this story and sharing it with you guys in the hopes that the lessons that come through will be able to impact your lives. So this story started after my mom's cancer diagnosis. When she got diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I got the call from her, and she said, "Brian, we have more information, and it's cancer." And I remember, I'll never forget, what it felt like to hear those words. It was a mixture of disbelief, fear, doubt, anger, one of the most, maybe the most overwhelming rush of emotion I've ever felt in my life. And I didn't know what to say. I cried in a way I've never cried in my life. I just completely lost control. I was shaking, I was convulsing, and I ended up going outside and walking for probably over an hour. I was just walking around the streets in Wisconsin where I live, by farms, and calling people, and I didn't know what to do, and I was crying. I was just completely lost. And so my friend said to me, I told them, "Guys, I don't know what's going to come in the next few months, but I'm going to need you." I was like, I don't know what is coming or what things I'm going to experience or what's going to happen with my mom, but I'm going to need you guys. And my friends were amazing, of course. They said, if you need anything, we're here. But they also said, you need to be strong for her. They said, you need to be strong for your mom. And I think the reason that they said that is what society tells us we're supposed to do, especially being a male. As a male, you're supposed to be strong in these situations, right? That's what society tells you. That's what you hear growing up. You're supposed to be strong. And so what we think that means is, as a man, strength is lifting lots of weights and being muscular. And then in a situation where there's a lot of emotions, people define strength as not showing any. For a man, you're supposed to be strong, be stoic, be unfazed by any emotional concern. Just bury it deep down and forget about it. And although I know many of the people who told me that were saying it in a well-intentioned manner, or maybe they even meant it in the way that I've come to understand it now, but at the time, that's all I knew. So at the time, I thought, okay, I have to be strong for her. That's all I've ever heard. That's what the movies and TV tell me. And since I've never been through something like this, I'll be strong. I'll smile. I'll only talk about good things with her, and we'll get through this. And I remember one day I was having a conversation with my mom and my dad on the phone, and I talked to them every day. And we were trying to just have the normal, how was your day, what happened at work, conversation, and I was at my breaking point. It had been a couple weeks, maybe 2 months at this point, since her original diagnosis, and things were getting better, and her numbers were looking good, but just the fact that my mom had pancreatic cancer, it rattled me. It's on your mind always, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. And so we were trying to have the normal conversation, and then finally I lost it. The emotion just took over. I started bawling, and I said, "I'm sorry, Mom." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I know I'm supposed to be strong for you, but I just can't right now." And my mom said something that changed my life. And she said, "Brian, I don't need you to be strong. I need you to be you." She said, "I don't need you to be strong. I need you to be you." And that was a huge epiphany moment for me, because what became real in that moment, or what became clear, was that the thing that I could do, the strongest thing in the world that I could do for my mom at that moment, was to be totally, completely myself. The strongest thing in the world I could do was to genuinely experience my emotions, was to genuinely be who I am in the ups and downs of life. Because my mom, more than anything in the world, loved to care for people. She loved to listen, she loved to share, she loved to cook amazing food and bring people together. That is what brought my mom the most joy. So by being genuinely me in that moment, I allowed her to do what she loved the most. Anyone who's ever battled cancer or had a family member or friend who's dealt with cancer understands that one of the worst parts about cancer, about chemotherapy, the aggressive treatments that take place, is that it takes away the sense of you having control over your life. My mom wasn't able to do a lot of the things that she loved to do normally, and it almost feels like cancer can take away a part of who you are. Now, deep down, cancer can never do that. Nothing can do that. You are always you, no matter what. But it still can have that effect on a person to make them feel that way, where you can't work out, or you don't have as much energy, you can't go to work. There are these things that become, in your mind, a part of who you are that you're no longer able to do. But in that moment, my mom was able to do what she loved more than anything, and that was to comfort me, and that was take care of one of her sons. And that was the strongest thing I could do, was to be genuine. To be genuine in a world that tells you to be anything but. To be in a world that tells you, don't show your emotion, don't be who you are, squeeze into a box, buy these things, become this person. That was the strongest thing I could do, was to be as authentically me as possible. And so from then on, if I was sad, I was real with my mom, and then she was able to help me like she normally would. My dad told me about one instance in the hospital where we were in what's called step down. And step down is a step down from the ICU. So you're no longer in general admission. Things have gotten more serious and you need more extensive monitoring. So you go into what's called step down. You're not quite in the ICU, but you're not in general admission. And there was a time where my mom was at an 8 out of 10, which the doctors every day and every time they come in will say, "All right, Janet, could you rate your pain for us?" And she would give them a rating from 1 to 10. And for many days, for many weeks, she was at a 7 or 8 out of 10 all day, every day, nonstop, and still found ways to smile. Her strength through all this of not lashing out at anyone, at trying to smile and be happy for her family, her friends, and even the hospital staff, was just unbelievable. But in this day, Mom was in excruciating pain all day, and it was the hardest thing in the world to watch, is to watch someone you love in pain. And so I lost it again. It was we'd spent a couple of weeks in the hospital every day with her, all day. We were exhausted, emotionally, physically, and mentally drained, and I just lost it again. And my mom sat up, which hurt. It was very hard. It was very hard for her to do. And she gave me a hug. and she held me for probably 20 or 30 seconds. And my dad told me later that he saw her face in that moment, and that in that moment the pain was gone, that she didn't feel any pain because she was there with her family, and that she was able to hold and care for one of the people that she loved the most in the world. And every time she hugged my brother and my dad, I saw that same peace on her face, even if just for a second. And sometimes we underestimate what the little things we do in life, what effect those little things can have on people. I just want to remind all of you and all the listeners and everybody out there that a hug, saying I love you, saying that you care, showing your appreciation for someone is so much more important than so many other things that we put so much emphasis on. And my mom taught me about strength in her battle, in her fight, and in those moments. And it's still hard. It's hard to relive some of these moments. It's hard to think back on the hard times, but some of the most important lessons have come through that. And as we move forward, I'll be sharing these lessons and getting more and more out there, because I know there is power in these lessons. There's power in really embracing the challenges in life and looking for the lessons in them and then sharing that with the world. So that's what I'm attempting to do here. So thank you all for listening. The podcast has been a huge piece of helping me to continue to move forward and move on with my life after losing my mom. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. And I'm really looking forward to see where this grows. And my goal is just to help as many people as I can with it. So thank you all for listening. As always, you can check out the other episodes of the podcast at overcominggraduation.com. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like to share with me, you can reach me at brian@overcominggraduation.com. So again, thank you all for listening. And my challenge to you guys today is just, after this is over, call someone you love, tell them why you appreciate them, share that love with the world, because you can never do it enough. All right, thank you guys, and have a great day.